Welcome everyone to WarThunder Histories episode 19, and today we're looking at the F4F Wildcat. As always, we'll look at its design and development, service history, notable combat action, and of course, how it performs in-game. I hope you enjoy. Grumman's fighter development originated with the Grumman FF biplane, a twin-seat fighter operated by the United States Navy during the 1930s. The FF was the first fighter designed by Grumman and was also the first US naval fighter with retractable landing gear. The gear would retract to be flush with the fuselage, but remain visibly exposed. The gear was retractable by using a hand crank the pilot would have to wind manually. Following the successes of the FF, Grumman had also begun work on designing two single-seat biplane fighters for the United States Navy, the F2F and F3F respectively. In 1935, while the F3F was still undergoing flight testing, the Grumman design team began work on what they dubbed the G-16, another biplane fighter for the United States Navy. The US Navy gave the G-16 the official designation of F4F-1. This had created the basis of what would become the F4F-3. Unfortunately for Grumman, the US Navy was looking towards monoplane designs such as Brewster's XF-2A, with orders being placed for the XF-2A and only purchasing one single XF-4F-1 in case Brewster's design was deemed unsatisfactory. Although the XF-4F-1 held some advantages over the XF-2A, the XF-2A would ultimately prove to be superior. Grumman decided to abandon the biplane design, completely redesigning the wing to compete against Brewster's design, redesignating the new aircraft as the XF-4F-2. Like all previous Grumman designs, the XF-4F-2 retained its hand-cranked landing gear, which even for the late 1930s was unusual, but became a signature feature for Grumman fighter design. It is however worth noting that it is quickly becoming apparent the design had a few drawbacks. Landing accidents caused by the failure of the landing gear to lock into place when deployed were common. Upon completion of the XF-4F-2, the US Navy again re-evaluated the aircraft. Although the Grumman design was marginally faster than Brewster's design, the XF-2A remained favourable due to its manoeuvrability, ultimately resulting in the US Navy ordering production models of Brewster's now designated F2A-1. Grumman, undeterred, radically redesigned the XF-4F-2 into the XF-4F-3, completely redesigning the wing and tail, adjusting the fuselage and adding a supercharged version of the Pratt & Whitney R1830 Twin Wasp radial engine, producing 1,200 horsepower, along with the addition of a two-stage supercharger which would later become the first two-stage supercharger in the United States Navy. In a turn of luck for Grumman, the US Navy had begun to find a number of issues with Brewster's F2A, finding it unstable in flight along with constant production delays, cancelling further orders and giving them to Finland, Britain, Belgium and the Netherlands. Upon submission of the XF-4F-3, the US Navy accepted the design and officially christened the aircraft as the F4F-3 Wildcat, and adopting it on October 1st, 1941. It is worth noting though that both Britain and France had placed orders for Wildcats in 1940. France however fell to Nazi Germany before they could receive their orders, and so French orders were sent to the Royal Navy's Fleet Air Arm, with the British F4F-3s being christened as Martlets. The Martlet entered service in late 1940, almost a year before the US Navy began to officially operate the F4F. The F4F was loved by pilots for its simplicity and stability in flight, however it is worth noting that on December 16, 1940, the prototype was involved in a fatal mishap caused by what was believed to be a poor cockpit layout. The pilot is suggested to have mistaken the fuel cutoff switch for the flapped up switch immediately after takeoff, causing an engine failure and crash. With the F4F's first operational squadrons being with the Royal Navy's Fleet Air Arm, the aircraft's first aerial kill came as a Royal Navy land-based Martlet on December 25, 1940, where a Ju-88 was shot down over Scapa Flow Naval Base in Scotland. This was not only the first aerial victory for the F4F-3, but was also the first victory for a US-built fighter in British service during World War II. Fleet Air Arm Martlets also pioneered combat operations aboard smaller escort carriers during convoy missions, where 6 Martlets aboard HMS Audacity shot down several Luftwaffe FW-200 Condors in September of 1941. The first significant action for US-operated Wildcats came in the defense of Wake Island from the 8th of December 1941 to the 23rd of December 1941. The small island initially had 12 US Marine Corps Wildcats, but with the speed of the Japanese attack, 8 were destroyed on the ground, leaving the 4 remaining Wildcats to fly near constant sorties until they were all destroyed. The 4 Wildcats are also credited with sinking the Japanese destroyer Kisaragi, managing to drop a small 100-pound bomb into a depth-charge stowage, causing a catastrophic explosion. The main opponent of the F4F in the Pacific was the Japanese A6M0. On paper, it was far superior to the F4F, but with pilot skill and an altitude advantage, the F4F was considered a formidable opponent, especially when using boom and zoom tactics, taking advantage of the aircraft's good dive speed and its 450 caliber machine guns. Pilots of the F4F loved the aircraft for its stability in flight and its handling and manoeuvrability, and its ability to simply absorb damage and remain airborne. Wildcats and Martlets were sometimes noted to have taken literally hundreds of rounds from enemy aircraft and continued to fight. F4Fs would serve across the globe primarily in the Pacific and Atlantic theatres with the Royal Navy, the US Navy, and the US Marine Corps. After the introduction of Grumman's F6F Hellcat in 1943, Wildcats and Martlets would be employed primarily on escort carriers. However, this was not the end for the F4F. On the 25th of October 1944, Wildcats from Taffy 3 took part in the sinking of the Japanese battleship Yamato while strafing her bridge and AA positions. And in March of 1945, Fleet Air Arm Martlets shot down 4 Bf-109s over Norway, scoring the final aerial victories for the F4F in Royal Naval Service. The F4F served until the end of the war in 1945, 2 years after the production had ceased in 1943. 7,860 F4Fs were produced across all variants, including the F4F-4 with its extra 250 caliber machine guns, flying 15,553 combat sorties, 14,027 of which were from aircraft carriers primarily with the US Navy, US Marine Corps and Royal Navy. F4Fs are credited with downing a total of 1,327 enemy aircraft, with the loss of only 178 aircraft to enemy aircraft, 24 to anti-aircraft fire, and 49 to other operational causes. This gave the F4F an incredible kill ratio of 6.9 to 1. The F4F is also credited with only having dropped 154 tons of bombs during its career. The Wildcat is also noted to have the most Medal of Honor awards to pilots than any other aircraft in the US military. If you'd like to see an airworthy Wildcat, Lewis Air Legends in San Antonio, Texas, United States has an F4F-3, and so does the Imperial War Museum, Duxford, England. A Martlet is on display there. All across the United States there are various static displays in almost every US aviation museum. So how does the F4F-3 specifically perform in-game? The F4F-3 is a Rank 2 Battle Rating 2.7 US naval fighter, armed with 4 50 caliber machine guns with 2 in each wing, and the aircraft is also able to carry 2 single 100-pound bombs for lightly armoured targets. The aircraft has a top speed of 322 miles per hour at an altitude of 19,024 feet, and has a max altitude of 39,360 feet. Able to make a full 360-degree turn in 18.9 seconds with a takeoff run of only 690 feet, obviously dependent on fuel and bomb loads. The aircraft also features armour around the cockpit, able to stop small caliber rounds and fragmentation from flak. The aircraft performs well at a battle rating of 2.7, with good manoeuvrability and excellent dive speed, along with its armour protection behind the pilot allows it to survive hits from 7.7 machine guns that are common at that battle rating. With a top speed of only 322 miles per hour, you need an altitude advantage to maximise your effectiveness. Without one, you are extremely limited in your capability. For ammo, I recommend bringing universal belts to give you a good mix of armour-piercing and incendiary rounds, but I don't recommend bringing bombs as they don't have a very useful application. The aircraft is fun and easy to play, especially at such a low battle rating. It is easy to fly and is very capable in the right hands. Overall, it's a nice aircraft I'd like to go back to, especially when I'm getting bored of playing top tier. Anyways guys, thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, and if you're new here and you like what we do, please consider subscribing. If there's a vehicle or battle you'd like to see on the series, please let me know in the comment section below, and special thanks to Sparky Cinematic and Big Q60 for helping me gather footage. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.